In this video, I'm going to show you how to use the TI-84 calculator to enter data and to plot points. So here we have a table with some data of Facebook users in various years, and I'm going to let the years column be my x-coordinates and let the number of users be my y-coordinates. So the very first thing I'm going to do is turn on the calculator. And I'm going to go to the Stat menu, which will allow me to enter statistical data. And the menu that we want is the Edit menu, and we want the Edit option. And that's highlighted, so I'm going to select or enter. But if I wanted another option, I could move the cursor up and down to highlight the different options. But again, I really do want to edit, so that's what I put here. And we see these two columns, L1 and L2, and these columns are used to enter the data. So I'm going to enter in column L1, so the first data point is in the year 2004, and I'll hit enter here, and it'll move down in the column. So I could go over to L2 and enter the y-coordinate, but I think I'm just going to fill up that first column. So we've got the years 2004, and then the next year is 2006. And I'm just going to keep on moving down in that column. 2008. And then to the next row, 2010. And finally, my last data point, the x-coordinate, is 2012. So I'm going to hit enter here. And then I want to move to the next column, so I hit the right arrow, and that puts me in the next column, which is going to be used for my y data. And so my first y coordinate is 1, and then moving down, the next coordinate, the y value is 12, and so on. And finally, the last y coordinate is 1056, and that's in thousands, so it's actually over 1 million users. So I will enter that last point, and now I have my 5 different ordered pairs. So next, what I want to do is to set the viewing window. So the data is now in those 5 ordered pairs, but for the viewing window, this is going to tell me what the span for each of my coordinates for that graph is going to be. So the years in the x direction go from the year 2004 to the year 2012. So to set the viewing window, I'm going to click here, Window, and it says x min, so the smallest x value. And actually, I don't want my data point to be right on the edge of the axis, so I'm going to start this in the year 2002. And then the x maximum, so the last year is 2012, but I want my axis to actually go a little bit further than that, so again that data point doesn't get crunched off on the end of the graph. And so I'm going to put 2014. And x scale, since we are going in increments of 2 years, I'm going to put that my x scale here is going to be 2 years. And then for my y values, the lowest value is 1, the highest value is 1056. So I'm going to start with my y minimum at 0, and my y maximum at 11 or 1200. Let's make it 1200. And then my y scale, so again, I'm going to put tick marks. It definitely shouldn't be more than every 100, and in fact, I think I'm going to make tick marks at every 200 units. Usually we'll put our x resolution at 1. So now we've entered the data, we've essentially told the calculator where we want the grid lines, and then the last thing we want to do is actually just plot the points. So we're going to go to this set of buttons here, and so these are the buttons that are primarily used for graphing. And what we want to do is use this command, stat plot, statistical plot. And so we need to get to the blue by using the second button and then this button here. So we see here there are a number of different plots. So at this moment, everything is turned off. So we really want to have at least one of our graphs turned on. So I'm going to, on graph number 1 has been selected. And what I want to do is hit enter here because that will open up then graph number 1. And so we've got off and on, and I do want to turn this on. So that means that we will select the on rather than the off. And now we get to choose what kind of graph. So the first one is a scatter diagram, the second is a line graph, and the third is a bar graph. And then here we have these box and whisker diagrams and a histogram finally. So I am going to use the scatter diagram. And once you have entered your data and set all your defaults and selected what kind of diagram, now we can just hit graph. And it will graph it, and as you can see, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 data points that have been plotted on this graph. Now, if I wanted to, for example, make this a line graph and connect all those dots, so let's go back to stat plot. For graph number 1, again, I'm going to select that. And this time, for the type, so let's go down here, I am going to move the arrow over to the next, to the line graph. And I'll select. And now when I graph that, we can see that the lines connect the dots. So you can play around with the graphing, but this is just to get you started on how to enter the data and then set the defaults for the graph that you want.